Welcome to CyberTheo. Today, we're diving deep into the philosophy of Simone de Beauvoir, a philosopher whose works profoundly shaped existentialist thought and feminist theory. Beauvoir's pioneering ideas on freedom, ethics, gender, and identity have not only impacted academic philosophy but have also influenced broader societal discussions about women's rights and the construction of gender roles. In this tutorial, we'll examine her groundbreaking texts, like The Second Sex and the Ethics of Ambiguity, and break down her key philosophical concepts, such as otherness, freedom, and ethical responsibility. Whether you're a philosophy novice or an enthusiast looking for a more detailed exploration, this tutorial will guide you through the major tenets of Beauvoir's thought. Let's jump in. Simone de Beauvoir's work, particularly in existentialism and feminism, can be explored through several key areas: existentialist freedom, the concept of otherness, her feminist critiques of society, and her ethics of responsibility. Below is a more detailed examination of each. Existentialism and radical freedom. At the heart of Beauvoir's existentialist philosophy is the concept of freedom. She was influenced by Jean-Paul Sartre's idea that humans are condemned to be free, meaning that there is no predetermined essence to human life, and it is up to each individual to create meaning through their actions. Beauvoir expanded on this notion by arguing that while humans are free to make choices, this freedom is often limited by societal structures, especially for women. Her analysis revealed that while men are typically seen as free agents, women are often restricted by gender norms, which confine them to certain roles such as mother, wife, or caregiver. These roles, according to Beauvoir, are imposed by society and are not reflective of women's inherent nature. For Beauvoir, true freedom involves transcending these social roles to live authentically, a struggle that is more difficult for women due to the systemic barriers they face. The concept of otherness. Beauvoir's idea of otherness is central to her feminist critique. She argued that throughout history, men have been considered the default or the subject, while women have been reduced to the role of the other, the object or counterpart of the male subject. This dichotomy reinforces male dominance by positioning women as secondary, passive beings whose existence is defined in relation to men. Beauvoir illustrated this in The Second Sex, where she analyzed the ways in which women are socialized to become women in the patriarchal sense, expected to embody femininity, submissiveness, and domesticity. This othering of women perpetuates inequality by rendering their experiences and perspectives as less valid or important than men's. Beauvoir's analysis of otherness has been critical in understanding how gendered power structures operate in society. Feminism and the Second Sex. Beauvoir's most famous work, The Second Sex, 1949, is often hailed as the foundational text of modern feminist thought. In this book, Beauvoir explores the ways in which women have been historically oppressed and analyzes the social, economic, and psychological forces that contribute to this oppression. Her famous statement, "One is not born, but rather becomes, a woman," highlights her belief that gender is a social construct rather than a biological fact. She argued that the expectations placed on women by society, from childhood through adulthood, shape their identities and limit their potential. Women are taught to internalize their inferiority, to see themselves as objects, and to accept their role as the other in a patriarchal world. Beauvoir examined various aspects of women's lives, such as sexuality, marriage, and motherhood, showing how these institutions often reinforce women's subordinate position. The Second Sex was revolutionary in its call for women to reclaim their freedom and autonomy by rejecting these socially imposed roles. The Ethics of Ambiguity, Balancing Freedom and Responsibility. In The Ethics of Ambiguity, 1947, Beauvoir addressed the ethical dimensions of existentialism, focusing on the interplay between individual freedom and moral responsibility. While humans are radically free, Beauvoir argued that this freedom is not absolute, it is situated within a social context where our actions affect others. Therefore, individuals must exercise their freedom in a way that considers the impact on others' freedoms. She emphasized the importance of recognizing the ambiguity of human existence. Life is full of contradictions, and ethical choices are rarely clear-cut. Beauvoir rejected rigid moral codes, instead advocating for an ethics grounded in personal responsibility and a commitment to enhancing the freedom of others. For her, true freedom is not only about individual autonomy but also about recognizing the interconnectedness of human lives and working toward a world where all people can achieve freedom. Relationship with Jean-Paul Sartre and Existentialism. Beauvoir's intellectual partnership with Jean-Paul Sartre was one of the most famous collaborations in 20th-century philosophy. While Sartre's existentialism emphasized radical individual freedom, Beauvoir extended these ideas by examining how societal structures, particularly patriarchal systems, impinge on individual freedom, especially for women. Although Sartre's focus was often on abstract notions of being and nothingness, Beauvoir grounded her existentialism in lived experience, particularly the lived experiences of women. Their ideas complemented each other in many ways, but Beauvoir's unique contribution was her analysis of gender, power, and social structures, which added a critical dimension to existentialist thought. While Sartre focused on individual freedom, Beauvoir explored the ways in which freedom is both enabled and constrained by societal forces, especially when it comes to gender. Simone de Beauvoir's philosophy is a profound exploration of freedom, ethics, and the social structures that shape our lives. Her existentialist belief in radical freedom challenged traditional notions of identity and meaning, while her feminist critique revealed how patriarchal societies limit women's freedom by constructing gender as a form of otherness. Beauvoir's analysis of gender, her call for women's liberation in the second sex, and her ethical framework in the ethics of ambiguity have made her one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century. Her work remains relevant today, particularly in ongoing discussions about gender equality, personal freedom, and the ethical responsibilities we owe to each other. For anyone interested in philosophy, feminism, or social justice, Simone de Beauvoir's ideas are essential for understanding the complexities of human existence and the struggle for true freedom. By dissecting the ways in which individuals are shaped by society and yet capable of transcending it, Beauvoir left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire and provoke thought. Thanks for taking the time to delve into her philosophy with CyberTheo. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into Simone de Beauvoir's philosophy. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want to explore more philosophical ideas and tech tips, don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing. For further reading and resources, check my links below. Thanks for watching CyberTheo, and stay tuned for more insightful content.